Blood on the leaves. The scream tore through the quiet like a blade through silk. It was sharp, terrified, and disturbingly close. Eli Whitaker froze mid-swing, his axe suspended above the thick log. The crash of steel hitting wood never came. Only. The wind moved now, rustling through the trees around him. Pine needles stirred overhead, but the birds had gone still. The forest had swallowed itself whole. He turned slowly toward the sound, heart already thudding in his chest. He knew these woods, his woods, like the lines of his calloused palms. Nothing out here should scream like that. Not a fox, not a deer, not a bear. That was a woman, and she was in trouble. Eli dropped the axe and grabbed the flashlight from the hook by his shed. His boots sank into the wet earth as he took off, weaving through trees, ducking under low branches, and dodging slick roots. He hadn't heard a car. No one should be out here, especially not this deep in the North Cascades, 10 miles from the nearest paved road, with the rain turning everything cold and slick. He listened. There, another sound, not a scream this time. A choked sob, a rustle, a whisper of movement. Then nothing. He followed it anyway. 5 minutes later he saw her. She was slumped against the base of an old oak tree, soaked to the skin, her arms wrapped tightly around her middle like she was holding herself together. One high heel was missing. Her dark brown hair was tangled, stuck to her cheeks with blood and mud. Her dress, a soft lavender silk, was torn in multiple places. Her hands trembled, and her face was pale as ash. But her eyes snapped to him the second he stepped closer. "Stop!" she rasped, voice raw. "Don't come near me!" Eli halted mid-step, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "It's okay," he said gently. "I'm not going to hurt you." She coughed, one hand moving to her ribs. "You're not one of them?" "One of who?" She stared at him, blinking fast. Rain slid down her face like tears. Then her body gave out. She crumpled sideways, unconscious. Eli's instincts kicked in. He rushed forward, checked her pulse, weak, but steady. Gently he lifted her into his arms. She was shivering violently, skin ice cold. She didn't weigh much, maybe 100 pounds. She smelled like perfume, blood, and damp earth. Eli carried her through the forest and back to his cabin. The fire roared in the hearth, casting flickering shadows across the wooden walls of the cabin. The place was small but sturdy, hand-built, by Eli and his father before him. A kitchen, a bathroom, and 2 small rooms off the main living space. Eli laid the woman on the couch and grabbed towels, blankets, and the first aid kit. She stirred as he cleaned the gash on her temple. "Where am I?" she whispered. "You're safe, in my cabin." Her eyes darted around, scanning the room, the door, the windows. She didn't look relieved. She looked trapped. "Who are you?" she asked. "Eli. I live here. Found you in the woods." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "They left me to die." "Who?" She closed her eyes. Eli sat back. "Look, I don't know what's going on, but you need a hospital. You've got a concussion and that ankle looks broken." "No hospital," she said sharply, her eyes flying open. He frowned. "You could have internal injuries. You need—" "They'll find me if I go there." Eli stared at her, trying to make sense of it. "Who will?" She hesitated. Then she said it, quietly. "My husband." Eli blinked. "Your husband did this to you?" She gave a soft, bitter laugh. "That man stood on national TV yesterday crying for the cameras, offering $2 million for my safe return, saying I'd been kidnapped." Her gaze hardened. "But he's the one who dumped me in those woods, left me there like trash." Eli didn't know what to say. She sat up slightly, flinching. "I need to stay here, just for a few days. Please." He hesitated. "You can't stay hidden forever. The media, your husband's got power, connections. If he's the one who hurt you, someone needs to know." "No one will believe me," she whispered. "They never do when the abuser's rich." That shut him up. After a long pause, he said, "What's your name?" "Sierra," she said. Sierra Royce, Eli's stomach clenched. That name, Royce, suddenly it all clicked. Benedict Royce, tech billionaire, CEO of Stratimind Systems, the man who built half the surveillance software that ran government contracts and private security worldwide. Married young, quiet life, wife missing for 6 days. Eli had seen the headline, even out here in the woods, and now she was on his couch. By the next morning, the rain had stopped and the sun bled weakly through the clouds. Eli brought Sierra tea and painkillers, helped her sit up, and noticed the bruises running down her arms. She didn't talk much, but the silence between them wasn't empty. It was charged. When she finally spoke, her voice was like glass cracking. "I found something I wasn't supposed to. Something about his company, about what they were really using the software for. I thought I was being paranoid at first, but then he changed, got controlling, cold, and one night he told me he'd never let me leave, that if I ever tried, no one would ever find my body." Eli felt rage rising in his chest. "Why didn't you go to the police?" "I tried," she said quietly. "I got as far as a lawyer. The next morning the lawyer was gone. Office cleared. Out, phone disconnected. That was the first warning." Her hands trembled as she sipped the tea. "Then the black SUVs started following me. My phone was wiped, my cards got cancelled. The night I disappeared, I'd packed a bag, ready to flee. I never made it past the front gate." Her eyes found his. "He drugged me. When I woke up, I was in the trunk of a car, and then—" "The woods." Eli leaned forward. "You need to go public. News, media, something." Sierra gave him a sad smile. "He owns the media, Eli. He owns everything." Over the next 2 days, Sierra started to regain strength. Eli cooked simple meals, helped her clean up, and offered her the spare room. She slept with the door locked. He didn't blame her. Each morning he chopped firewood. Each night he checked the perimeter. He was beginning to believe her story, because if Sierra was lying, well, she was damn good at it, too good. On the third night, while Sierra was asleep, Eli opened his laptop and searched her name. Dozens of headlines. Royce offers reward for missing wife. Tech tycoon's wife. Vanishes without a trace. Sierra. Royce, socialite, philanthropist, and now missing. The pictures didn't match the woman sleeping in his guest room. The Sierra online was polished, smiling, glamorous. But the one he'd found in the woods? Broken, raw, terrified. And when he searched Benedict Royce, he found more. Lawsuits, NDAs, former employees who'd vanished mid-trial. A journalist who died in a mysterious accident 6 months ago after investigating Stratimind's private surveillance deals in Africa. Suddenly, Sierra's story didn't sound paranoid. It sounded like survival. The next morning, Sierra was quiet at breakfast. Eli poured coffee, sat down and asked, "What's the plan?" She looked up. "You can't hide here forever," he said. "If Royce finds you—" "He won't," she said. "Not yet. He thinks I'm dead." Eli frowned. "What makes you so sure?" Sierra's face darkened. "Because the men who dropped me in the forest, they shot at the ground before they left, to leave shell casings, blood, a false trail. When I came to, I realized they wanted me gone, but not traceable. He wants a martyr, not a witness. And if he finds out you're alive," she looked him straight in the eye, "then you'll be the next one he makes disappear." That afternoon, Eli went outside to split firewood. The forest was calm again. The storm had passed. But something felt off. He scanned the trees. And then he saw it. Just beyond the tree line, partially hidden under the snow, was a single boot print. Larger than his, heavy, deep, fresh. He knelt down slowly, dread settling in his gut. It was facing toward the cabin. He stood up, heart thundering, and from deep within the trees something glinted, a metallic flicker like a lens catching sunlight. Someone was watching them. The eyes in the trees Eli didn't move. Not at first. He just stood there staring at that single boot print pressed into the soft soil, watching the trees. The lens flash was gone now. The forest looked normal again, peaceful, green, alive. But he knew what he saw. Someone had been here, watching, and not just passing through. That boot print was deliberate, facing the cabin, deep, planted, like whoever made it had stopped to observe. He backed away, heart pounding. Inside, Sierra was curled up on the couch, flipping through one of Eli's old books. A fresh cut on her cheek was beginning to scab, and her bruises had deepened into dark, angry shades. But her eyes, they were sharper now, more alert. "Close the curtains," Eli said the moment he stepped in, voice low. She blinked at him. "What?" Now. She stood without question, moving to draw the thick burlap. Curtains over the windows. Eli bolted the door and locked the back one too. Then he killed the lights. The cabin dimmed, bathed only in the orange glow of the fireplace. "What happened?" she asked, her voice suddenly tight. "Someone was out there," he said. "Boot print, fresh. And I saw something, a glint like glass or metal. Or binoculars, maybe. Camera, I don't know." Her body stiffened. "Then he knows." "Maybe. Maybe not. It could just be some hiker." "No one hikes this deep without a reason," she snapped. "You said it yourself. This place isn't on any map. They found me." Eli rubbed the back of his neck. "How?" "You haven't used a phone. I haven't either. No internet, no GPS." She looked up slowly. "Maybe it's not about us using tech," she said. "Maybe it's about them watching everything already." That night, neither of them slept. Eli stood by the window, his old hunting rifle in hand. He hadn't used it in years, mostly to scare off bears. But the weight of it now felt necessary. Sierra sat wrapped in 2 blankets on the couch, sipping lukewarm tea. Her ankle was improving, but the tension in her shoulders had returned. Every time the fire cracked, she jumped. "This isn't the first time," she said quietly, breaking the silence. Eli turned to her. "First time what?" "He's tracked me before," she said. "Last year I tried to leave. I booked a flight under my mother's maiden name, used cash for everything. I was in New Mexico, halfway to Santa Fe, when I stopped for gas. The clerk looked at me and said, 'Your husband's looking for you.'" Eli frowned. "I didn't tell anyone where I was going, not even my sister, but somehow he still knew." Her voice dropped. "I think he's embedded, tracking in everything I own. My jewelry, my clothes, maybe even my skin." Eli sat beside her, lowering the rifle across his lap. "That sounds paranoid." She met his gaze evenly. "That's what I thought. Until I went to a spa 3 months ago, and the esthetician found a microdot behind my ear. It was coated in a skin-colored resin, nearly invisible." He stared at her, speechless. "Benedict doesn't trust people," she said. "He monitors them, even me. And he didn't care if you found out." "I think he wanted me to know," she said bitterly. "So I'd stop running." The next day, Eli went back into the forest. Not far, just far enough to confirm what he feared. He found another boot print, then 2 more. Fresh. They circled the cabin, kept to the edges, always facing the house. Never leading away. He wasn't just being watched. They were being hunted. When he got back, Sierra was in the kitchen heating soup. He shut the door fast, bolted it, and tossed the logs into the fireplace without a word. She turned to him. "Well?" "They've been here more than once." Her hand gripped the counter. "They'll come back." "Yeah. And next time they won't stay hidden." She looked at him, her eyes hard now. "Then we need a plan." Eli nodded. "I've got supplies. 2 old motorbikes in the shed. They still run. If we leave before sunrise, head toward the old ranger station, we can maybe get signal there." "No." Sierra shook her head. "If we go for help now, we lead them straight to it. We need evidence first." "Evidence?" She walked over to the couch, pulled something from her backpack. It was a silver flash drive taped into the seam of the bag. "This has what they're trying to bury," she said. "Encrypted documents. Emails, proof of what Benedict's company has been doing. Eli stared at it. She continued, "It also has logs, dates, names, times, people paid off, people hurt. He thought I didn't know his password." "You copied all this before you disappeared?" She shook her head. "No, I copied it after. I was supposed to be unconscious when they took me to that cabin in Oregon before dumping me in the woods, but I faked it. One of his men made a call. I recognized the code he used. It was the same code Benedict used for high-clearance email folders. When they stopped to refuel, I used a broken tablet in the glove box and uploaded the data. It took 60 seconds. Eli let out a low whistle. "Thought they'd kill me before I hit send," she said. "But I made it, and now it's here. Then we go public with it." "No!" She was firm. "First we decrypt it, then we leak it to 3 different media outlets at once. That way they can't shut it down fast enough." Eli stared at her. There was something electric in her now, a fire he hadn't seen before. She wasn't just a scared woman anymore, she was preparing for war. That night, Eli took the flash drive and connected it to his ancient laptop. No Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth, totally offline. "What's the password?" he asked. Sierra hesitated, then said, "Rosalie." He looked at her. "My middle name," she said softly. "It's what my mother used to call me. I figured if I died, someone might guess it eventually." The drive opened. Inside were dozens of files, some with code names. Others were plain text. Eli clicked on one, a document titled Rebirth Protocol, Confidential. His eyes scanned the lines, and his blood turned cold. Surveillance projects on American citizens, private conversations recorded without warrants, GPS data sold to black market contractors, dossiers on judges, journalists, and politicians, and orders signed by Benedict himself, approving containment measures for whistleblowers. "This is a war crime," Eli whispered. Sierra nodded. "And he's been doing it for years." As they scrolled deeper into the files, one document caught Eli's eye. It was titled Whitaker Priority Level Red. His stomach clenched. He opened it. Inside was a photo of him, taken outside the very same cabin. "Dated 6 months ago," Sierra gasped. "Why would Benedict have your file?" Eli sat back, hands shaking. "I don't know," he said slowly. "I don't work in tech. I've been off-grid for years." She clicked into the document. Subject, Eli. Whitaker location, Cascades Wilderness, Washington formerly. Specialist U.S. Army Intel, Covert Comms Division, 2006-2012. Notable incident, Phoenix pipeline leak. Testimony suppressed risk level, high due to intel history and tactical survival skill set. Order, watch only, do not engage without approval. Sierra turned to him. "You were in intelligence?" Eli looked down. "A long time ago. I saw some things, blew the whistle, the government buried it, I came here to disappear." She shook her head in disbelief. "He knew who you were before I ever showed up." "Which means my helping you," Eli said quietly. "Might have been exactly what he wanted." Just then, a loud crack echoed outside the cabin. Both of them froze. Another snap. Closer. Eli reached for the rifle. Sierra scrambled to the window, but kept low. 3 figures were moving in the trees. Dark clothing, tactical gear, slow, deliberate movements. "Are they armed?" she whispered. "Yes." Eli helped her up. "Back room, now!" They scrambled. Through the cabin. In the back storage room, Eli yanked open a trap door leading to the cellar. He helped Sierra down the old ladder, then dropped in after her. They sat in the darkness, the smell of earth and oil thick around them. Above, the cabin creaked, footsteps, a boot dragged across the floor. Sierra squeezed his hand. Her nails were digging in. The steps grew louder, closer, then silence, long, unbearable silence, then a soft voice. "Mr. Whitaker," a man called, smooth, calm. "We know you're home, we just want the woman." Eli said nothing. We know she has something that belongs to us. Give her up and we walk away. More silence. You have 10 minutes, the voice said. Then we come in. Footsteps retreated. Sierra looked at Eli, her face pale. What do we do? He looked at her. We run. The escape through shadows. Eli's hand was already on the duffel bag by the time Sierra whispered, "How?" "Old logging trail," he said under his breath. "Behind the cabin. Runs downhill a mile before hitting the creek. After that, we vanish into the trees." Above them, the cabin creaked again. A man's voice crackled through a handheld radio. "They were organizing. They'll find the trap door eventually," Sierra murmured. "Not if we move now." With one hand, Eli passed her the rifle. Just in case, she looked at it like it was foreign, her fingers trembling as she rapped. Them around the wood. Eli climbed up first, inching the cellar door open a crack. He peered into the storage room. Clear, silent. "Come on." They emerged into the cabin soundlessly. Eli reached for the emergency pack behind the pantry shelf. Flares, thermal blankets, a water filter, an old satellite phone without a SIM. Card. All from the days he thought he might need to disappear forever. Now that day had arrived. He handed Sierra a jacket and whispered, "Head to the back. Quiet." They crept out the rear door, the hinges groaning louder than they'd ever remembered. Eli winced. No time to fix it. Then they ran. Not fast, but carefully, weaving through trees, keeping low, never stepping on dry twigs. Sierra's ankle had improved, but it still slowed her. Eli took her hand, pulling her behind the tall ferns and moss-covered stumps, and then behind them, bang! A gunshot. Sierra flinched. "They know," she gasped. "Keep moving." The trail narrowed, swallowed by thick brush. Eli hacked through it with a hunting knife, sweat pouring down his back. Behind them, footsteps thudded. "Voices in the trees." "They split up," Sierra panted. "I hear them on both sides. Doesn't matter, they don't know the forest like I do." But even as he said it, Eli felt something gnaw at his gut. They were trained, professional. Not some goons sent by a bitter ex-husband. These men moved with formation, with tactics. This wasn't just a recovery mission. They were here to eliminate loose ends. 20 minutes later, they reached the creek. The water was icy and fast. Eli dipped a cloth, handed it to Sierra to wipe the sweat off her neck, then scouted downstream. "We follow the water another mile, then cross the bluff. There's an old hunting cabin on the ridge. You think it's safe?" "No, but it's the only shelter we've got." They moved fast, pushing through thorny undergrowth. The sound of the creek masked their steps, but it also masked those behind them. Suddenly, crack! A gunshot hit the tree just inches from Eli's head. Splinters flew. He grabbed Sierra and shoved her down into the brush. "Run!" he shouted. She froze. "I said run!" She did. Eli followed, twisting through the maze of pines, heart pounding like a war drum. Another shot rang out, this one behind them. Then a yell. They were gaining. Sierra stumbled but didn't stop. Mud covered her jeans, blood soaked through the wrap on her ankle. Still, she pushed forward. Finally, they reached the foot of the ridge, a steep climb, almost vertical. Eli turned, rifle raised. He couldn't see them, but he knew they were there. He helped Sierra up the rocks, half-pulled her. Her breath came in ragged gasps. "I can't," she choked. "You can, just a little more." A figure appeared below, maybe 30 yards back, dressed in black, visor down, rifle raised. Eli fired once. The man ducked behind a tree. Sierra used the moment to scramble the last few feet to the top. When Eli reached her, both of them collapsed, gasping. "Cabin's 100 yards that way," he said. "Go, I'll cover." She looked like she wanted to argue, but didn't. She ran. The cabin was more a shack than a shelter. Half-collapsed roof, broken door, but it was dry, hidden, and had one thing Eli needed, an old CB radio. He yanked the tarp off the table, blowing dust away. Fingers moved fast across the dial, praying to whatever forces still watched over him. Static, more static. Then a voice. "Snow cover near Granite Pass is holding at—" "Hello?" Hello, this is Eli Whitaker. I have a civilian with me. Injured, under attack. Coordinates incoming. Sierra burst in. They're surrounding the ridge. I saw one of them talking into a headset. Eli handed her the coordinates, scribbled on an old map. Burn it after reading. She committed the numbers to memory, then lit the map with a match, dropping the burning paper into a rusted sink. An hour passed, then two. Darkness fell like a shroud over the trees. Every crack outside made them jump. But no one entered. Eli was pacing now, restless. They're not coming in blind, they're waiting for something. Sierra nodded. Orders, or confirmation we're still alive. She stared into the fire, then pulled something from her sock. A second flash drive. Eli blinked. You said there was one. There's always a backup, she whispered. If they find the first and assume they've won, they let their guard down. Eli looked at her. You're not just some runaway wife, are you? She didn't answer right away. Then, my father founded the company before Benedict stole it. I was supposed to inherit the tech division. Benedict married me for access, then pushed through a merger after Dad's stroke. He's not just protecting secrets. He's covering theft, corporate espionage, sabotage, murder. And if you leak this, he loses everything. Eli leaned back, and then, as if summoned, a knock. 1, 2. 3 soft taps on the cabin wall, not the door, not the window, the wall. Eli grabbed the rifle. Sierra stood behind him, fists clenched. The door creaked open, but no one was there, just the cold night wind, and pinned to the door with a knife, a photo. Eli pulled it down. His face stared back, standing in front of the cabin, rifle slung. Over his back, beside him, Sierra, smiling. The photo was taken from just hours ago. On the back, written in black marker. You can't hide from ghosts, Eli. We built this forest before you ever ran here. His blood ran cold. Betrayal in the pines. The air was still, but Eli's heart wouldn't stop pounding. That photo, taken from the woods just hours earlier, meant only one thing. They were being hunted by someone who had already been watching. Not just since the cabin raid. Not since Sierra first stumbled into his world. Longer. Eli stared at the photo again, his fingers tightening around the edges. This wasn't taken by a drone, he murmured. It was up close, maybe 20 feet max. Sierra said nothing. Her eyes locked on the tree line beyond the shattered cabin window. Finally, she turned to him and whispered, There's something I didn't tell you. Eli didn't flinch. I figured. I think someone in Benedict's team has gone rogue. Or maybe they were never on his team to begin with. There were whispers before I left, about shadow contracts, a private task force buried under layers, of shell companies, not officially tied to Benedict, but working for him, or pretending to. You're saying someone might be playing both sides? Sierra nodded slowly. Yes, and they're good at it. Eli folded the photo and shoved it in his pocket. We can't stay here. But it's almost dawn. That's exactly why we move. They'll expect us to hide until dark. Sierra took a deep breath. Where will we go? Eli looked at her. Then he said the last thing he thought he ever would. We're going to town. 6 hours later, 14 miles downriver, the two of them sat in the back of a rusted pickup truck, hidden beneath a load of tarp-covered firewood. Eli's friend Nate, a retired game warden with a busted hip and a hatred for federal interference, had agreed to drive them into the outskirts of Timber Falls, no questions asked. Sierra was shivering. Eli wrapped her in a coat and whispered, We'll be at the motel in 20. You holding up? She nodded, but barely. Her eyes were distant. When they finally reached the edge of town, Nate pulled over. You sure about this? He asked. No, Eli admitted. But I'm done hiding. We need eyes, cameras, people. If they want to kill us in public, let them try. Nate grunted. Still got that number I gave you? Eli patted his chest. Yeah. Use it. Only if you have to. He drove off before Eli could thank him. The motel was cheap. Broken vending. Machine, flickering hallway lights. A stain on the carpet in room 108 that no one had ever really cleaned. But the locks worked, and it had Wi-Fi. While Sierra rested, Eli pulled out the second flash drive. He'd taken a laptop from Nate's cabin, the kind old enough to not auto-upload anything to the cloud. He plugged it in. A folder popped up. Witness, Sierra. Inside were files, spreadsheets, legal memos, bank transfers, video clips. Eli clicked one. Sierra's voice crackled through the speakers, shaky and raw. He said, "I had two options. Sign over the patent rights or disappear." My father never knew. They had already drugged him by then. Another clip. Footage of Benedict laughing with investors, promising a clean future through private defense contracts. Eli leaned back, stunned. "He's selling weaponized AI," Sierra nodded, "under the guise of humanitarian relief. But it's not. It's military grade, untraceable, self-learning." Eli's face darkened. "And you're the only one with proof." "Not anymore," she said quietly, looking at the laptop. 3 hours later, downtown Timber Falls. Eli knew the place well. A hardware store, a diner, a laundromat that smelled like burnt socks. They moved carefully, choosing side streets. Checking every reflection in the glass, Eli made a call. "Is this—" A voice answered. "Yes," Eli said. "It's me. I need a favor." 10 minutes later, a woman in her 50s with cropped silver hair walked into the library. Her name was Detective Wren Calhoun, and she had once helped Eli disappear from a life that had nearly destroyed him. She looked at him now, eyes full of disbelief. "You finally crawled back. I need protection," Eli said. "Not for me, for her." Calhoun looked at Sierra, eyes narrowing. "She's the one they're looking for. You know? Word spreads fast when mercenaries start asking questions in backwater towns." Eli handed her the flash drive. Proof of everything. Calhoun scanned the files. Her lips thinned. "This isn't just some company scandal. This is national. Security. You realize what you're holding?" "We want to go public," Sierra said. "Safely. I'll testify. I'll name names." Calhoun glanced at the window. Too late for safe. Then she muttered, "There's already a tail outside." The gunfight came fast. Black SUVs screeched into the alley behind the library. Calhoun shoved Sierra and Eli behind a row of metal bookshelves. Glass shattered. Bullets tore through the wooden desk. "Go through the fire exit," she yelled. Sierra ran. Eli followed, out the back door, down a steel staircase, through the alley into a florist's shop. Then out the front, blending into a crowd just as sirens began to wail. They ducked into another motel, this one even worse than the last. Flickering blue light from a TV playing a soap opera. No one watched. Eli paced. Sierra sat silently, her hands shaking. "They'll never stop," she whispered. "Not until I'm dead." Eli knelt in front of her. "You're wrong. Because now, it's not just your fight." She looked up, and he said it again, slower this time. "It's our fight." That night, they sent the files to 10 journalists, 2 senators, and a whistleblower organization based overseas. They used burner emails, multiple IP relays, everything Calhoun had taught Eli years ago. Then they waited. In the silence of that dingy motel, something unspoken passed between them. Not romance, not yet, but trust, the kind that's forged in blood and betrayal and fire. Sierra took Eli's hand. "What if this doesn't work? Then we make it work." A knock came on the door. They froze. Eli grabbed the rifle from under the bed. But it wasn't an assassin, it was Calhoun, face pale, eyes glassy. "They got Nate," she said softly. "Burned his cabin to the ground." Sierra gasped. Eli felt his knees go weak. "Are they still following us?" "No," Calhoun said. "They're not chasing anymore." She looked directly at Sierra. "They're luring you." The truth beneath the ashes. Sierra sat on the edge of the motel bed, shaking hands curled around a mug of cold coffee. The words from Detective Calhoun echoed in her ears like a bell that wouldn't stop ringing. "They're not chasing anymore?" They're luring you? Eli stood in the corner, arms crossed, jaw clenched. The walls of the room felt like they were shrinking. With every second, Sierra looked up at him. "Why, Nate?" Eli didn't answer, because he already knew. Nate had helped them escape. That was enough to get him killed. "They're drawing a circle around us," Eli said finally, "cutting off anyone who helps, one by one." Calhoun pulled a folded sheet of paper from her coat pocket and set it on the bed. Sierra leaned in to look, a blurry, zoomed-in still frame from a security camera, a man in a grey suit, smiling, carrying a briefcase. Sierra went pale. "That's Gordon Hayes," she whispered. "He was Benedict's fixer. If he's here, then—" Her voice trailed off. Eli finished it for her. "Then Benedict is already close." Later that night, back roads just outside Timber Falls, they couldn't stay in the motel. With Calhoun's help, they stole a maintenance van from the county yard and disappeared down a forgotten Forest Service road, deep into the pines where Eli used to set traps as a teenager. There was one place left, the old Firewatch station on Raven Hill, abandoned after the 2008 floods, barely held together by bolts and rust. It stood like a skeleton in the fog, tall and narrow, windows shattered, stairs creaking with every step, but it was high. It had visibility, and for the first time in days, Eli could breathe. They set up a makeshift camp, cold canned beans, old cots, a battery-powered radio, and silence, until Sierra whispered, "There's something you don't know." Eli didn't respond. He'd been waiting for this. She took a breath. "The files, they're only part of the truth, the real reason they want me dead. It's not just the whistleblowing." She reached into her boot and pulled out a memory card. "This is what they're after." Eli frowned. "What's on it?" She hesitated, then said the words that would change everything. "The last video my father ever recorded, before he was killed. 2 years ago, lab footage, video transcript. Sierra's father sits at a desk, face gaunt, eyes haunted. If you're watching this, I'm likely already gone. Benedict has taken everything. He's using my technology for black market. Defense systems, he's testing them on unregistered groups. Some aren't even enemy combatants, just people." He leans closer to the camera. "And Sierra, if you're hearing this, I'm so sorry. I never wanted you involved, but if you are, don't run. Expose him. Burn it all down." Then the lights flicker in the background. A door creaks open. The video ends. Eli's mouth was dry. "Your father, he knew he'd be silenced." Sierra nodded, tears in her eyes. "He sent that video to me through a friend in the lab. It's the only copy left. It proves murder, intent, war crimes." She looked up. "And now it's ours." Eli clenched his fists. "Then we make it public." "No," said a voice from the shadows behind them. They both jumped. A flashlight clicked on, revealing Detective Calhoun. Only something was wrong. Her eyes were cold, her mouth too calm. "Calhoun?" Eli asked, but she didn't answer. Instead, she pulled a phone from her coat and tossed it to the floor. It was already recording. "Give me the card," she said. "Now." Betrayal. Sierra froze. "You were working with him," she said, voice shaking. Calhoun sighed. "No. I was working for myself. You think Benedict's the only player in this game. You've got something worth millions. Blackmail, leverage. I was just smart enough to see it first." Eli took a slow step forward. "I trusted you." Calhoun pulled out a gun. "I trusted Nate too, until you got him killed." That hit Eli like a hammer. He stopped moving. Sierra whispered, "So what now? You kill us?" Calhoun shrugged. "I don't want to, but I will, unless you give me the card." But Sierra didn't move. Her face had changed. Her eyes were cold steel now. "I already uploaded it," she lied. "The second we got signal, it's gone, viral, too late." Calhoun's lips twitched. Lied or not? She glanced at Eli, who saw her hesitation. and in that moment of doubt he lunged. The gun fired once, twice, shattering glass and echoing into the hills. They wrestled, screamed. Sierra grabbed a fire extinguisher and smashed it into Calhoun's arm. The gun skittered across the floor. Eli grabbed it, pointed, but he didn't pull the trigger. "Not yet. Go!" he barked at Sierra. "Run!" She didn't. She looked at him, then at Calhoun, still bleeding, gasping, defiant, and she said something that no one expected. "Let her live." "What?" Eli snapped. "She's already lost everything. Let her live with what she's done. That's worse." An hour later, back on the road, they left Calhoun at the station bound and gagged, with enough food and water to survive. The memory card was now tucked in a secret compartment beneath the van's steering column. They drove in silence. But something had shifted between them, not just survival anymore, something deeper, a shared war. As they neared the edge of the city, Sierra spoke softly. "They'll come harder now." Calhoun was desperate, which means Benedict's getting cornered. Eli nodded. "Good. Let him feel hunted for once." Sierra looked at him. "I need to ask you something. Anything. If I don't make it through this, promise me you'll finish it." Eli gripped the wheel tighter. "We both make it, or we go down together." She smiled faintly. "You're stubborn." "You're damn right." But neither of them knew. That far away, in a sleek penthouse overlooking a coastal skyline, Gregory Benedict was already watching. A glass of wine in his hand, a photo of Sierra and Eli on his tablet screen. He turned to the man beside him, Gordon Hayes. "It's time," Benedict said. Hayes nodded. "You want them dead?" Benedict smiled. "No, not yet. First, I want her broken. The last cut. The old courthouse was cold, even in June." Sierra adjusted her blazer with trembling hands as the media crowded outside like vultures. Dozens of cameras, live feeds, murmured questions and shouted accusations. Eli stood behind her, calm as ever, but his hand never left the small of her back. "You don't have to do this," he murmured. "I do," Sierra said. "For my father, for everyone he couldn't save." The video had gone viral, the one from the memory card. Within hours, journalists, watchdog groups, and human rights lawyers exploded with demands. Government agencies launched emergency inquiries. Benedict's name flooded headlines around the world, but he hadn't been arrested. Not yet, because he had turned himself in. On one condition, that Sierra meet him in court, face to face. 2 hours earlier. Safe house near Timber Falls. They didn't sleep much. Sierra sat on the floor, back against the wall, watching the first hints of dawn push through the curtains. She replayed her father's final video again. Not because she needed to see it, but because it reminded her why she had survived. Eli entered the room with 2 mugs of coffee. "You ready?" She didn't answer right away. "Do you think justice is real?" she finally asked. "Or just something we say to survive grief?" Eli sat beside her. "Maybe both. But if you don't fight for it, then Benedict wins." Sierra turned her head and looked at him. "Promise me something. Anything. If he tries to twist it to make himself the victim, I want you to speak. Say what I can't." Eli reached over and squeezed her hand. "I will. Now." Inside the courtroom, Benedict sat with perfect posture, designer suit, calm expression. He looked like a man attending a business meeting, not a war crimes hearing. Sierra felt the heat in her chest rise. He turned and smiled. "You've grown," he said softly. The judge struck her gavel. "Ms. Vega, you requested to deliver the victim impact statement personally." Sierra stood, but her knees nearly buckled. The entire courtroom blurred. For a second she could see her father sitting on the far bench, nodding at her like he always did before. "Piano recitals," she drew in a slow breath, and spoke. "My father, Dr. Alonso Vega, believed in science as a way to protect life, not destroy it. He believed in truth. even when it cost him everything. Gregory Benedict took my father's trust and twisted it. He used his technology to build weapons. He tested those weapons on the innocent, and when my father discovered the truth, he had him silenced. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. But Sierra wasn't done. For years, I blamed myself for surviving, for running, but now I know I wasn't weak. I was meant to carry the truth. She turned to Benedict. You thought money could bury it. That fear would silence me, but you forgot one thing. My father didn't raise a coward. The judge nodded. Thank you, Ms. Vega. As she sat, Benedict smiled again and raised his hand. Your Honor, may I say something? The judge hesitated. Briefly, he stood, slowly. I did what I had to do. Nations do far worse in secret every day. My only mistake was trusting the wrong people. His eyes flicked toward Sierra. She betrayed me. Her father betrayed me. I was trying to make the world stronger. Sierra stood again, furious. You murdered to make yourself richer, but Benedict only smiled. You think this ends with a courtroom? My lawyers will tear this apart. I'll walk. Later, outside the courthouse, they won not a conviction. Not yet. But the judge ordered Benedict into federal custody pending further investigation. His bail denied, and more whistleblowers were stepping forward. But Sierra didn't feel victorious. Not fully, because justice wasn't clean. It wasn't satisfying. It was painful. It was slow, but it was moving. A week later, on a hill overlooking the river, Sierra stood by her father's gravestone, a small bouquet in her hand. She didn't cry. She spoke softly. It's done, Dad, not fully. But I did it. You were right. They couldn't hide forever. A warm breeze passed over the hilltop. Behind her, Eli waited quietly, giving her space. Then he stepped forward and held out a small carved box. I made this, he said, for the memory card. Thought it deserved something better than a glove. Compartment. Sierra took it, opened it. Inside, the card rested on velvet like a medal of honor. Thank you, she whispered. She looked up at him. You saved my life. More than once, Eli shrugged. You saved mine too. Then silence stretched between them, thick with everything unsaid, until Sierra stepped forward and kissed him, soft, brief, but full of truth. When she pulled back, she smiled for the first time in weeks. I think I'm finally ready to live. Eli grinned. Then let's do that. 3 months later, a quiet cabin in the pines. The jungle was far behind. Sierra now worked with a whistleblower protection nonprofit. Eli ran a woodshop and trained local teens. The world still spun. Bad men still tried to bury truth, but in this little pocket of the world, peace had bloomed from pain. And one morning, Sierra looked at her reflection in the mirror and didn't see a victim. She saw a survivor, a warrior, a daughter who made her father proud. Final line. Sometimes the hardest thing to uncover isn't a secret, it's your own strength, the end.